Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Hmm. Sounds like it's my computer that's making that noise. I can't get rid of that. Oh well. Okay, friends, for those of you who are tuning in just a little bit early, I'm just getting set up. So, give me a few minutes and, well, 14 minutes exactly, and we'll hopefully get started then. By the way, hi. All right, let me mute this. Okay. So I am now unmuted on the stream. I'm going to bring up all the things I need while we get ready. There's that. All right, let's cut over to this guy here. Okay, so let us go ahead and get started. I'm going to bring up so I can see the chat just in case anybody wants to throw in over there. So hello folks, hopefully you guys can hear me okay on the stream. I'm using a different mic this week to try and free up my my headset a little bit here. It always seems like it sounds weird to me when I listen back to myself. So I'm trying a different mic this week just to try to change things up. So hopefully you can hear me on the stream, and I'll keep talking assuming you can. So this is the WiscWeb February Lunch and Learn. For those of you who don't know my voice, I'm Matt Goins. I'm the trainer for the team. I do user support. I'm basically a jack of all trades on the team. And then along with me here in the chat, although they're not talking yet, is Jenna Klinner, who is our product owner, service lead. She's kind of the one who a lot of you will interact with for various reasons, whether it be requests or support or just other things that we have going on within the service where we need to reach out individually. And then Scott Berg, who is one of our developers, and though you may not always know it, Scott is one of the individuals who has brought a lot of the very cool things that we're able to do within the UW theme to the WiscWeb service. So just wanted to call him out as well, just because he does deserve snaps from time to time for his great efforts. So I sent out the agenda this morning. It is a hefty agenda, so we'll kind of try to go through these in a not fast but succinct manner, so that we can just make sure we hit on everything that's necessary. So the first thing we're going to touch on is just a little bit of a recap from the UW theme update. One of the things that we have been fielding, one of the questions that we have been fielding on a pretty regular basis, is the headings conversation. And so one of the things that I just wanted to touch on with why it's appearing the way that it is sorry for the typing that you'll hear as well as I talk. But so what happens is the theme update changed the way that the headings appear on your site. So it was meant to take it from being all caps all the time to regular sentence case capitalization. So normal capitalization of words when you use the heading values. One of the things that was a design decision as the UW theme was being updated was that certain levels of headings would remain all caps to differentiate them from other headings in the editor area or in the visible area. But that has sort of had a confusing drawback to it, in the fact that, for example, if I were to put in a section layout heading here, and then the one that I have run into the most has been, let's see, let's add a 3-column layout right here, and let's actually change this up to here. And then we'll do featured content block, featured content block, featured content block. And test 2, and test 3. Forum, la la la. Okay. And then from there, if I'll just publish it just because we'll do it that way. And then we view the page. This happens. So what you can see is it is identifying that the section layout heading that you're using up here is the first heading value that is appearing. And so because this section of featured content blocks are the next values to capture that heading tag, it reverts those back to the all caps view, or the all caps styling, I should say. So what I've been doing, and the folks who have reached out to me that I have individually worked with, is we've just been taking out that section heading and that has been what we have done to get rid of that particular thing. This is something that we're aware of. We're looking into ways to fix this. It's one of our objectives coming up, but we don't really have a quote-unquote fix at the moment. So you just have to be aware that it is still happening. It's not a bug. It's not your site. It's nothing like that. It is working as intended. We're just not sure if the intent is the right thing for our users and for what you're using it for. So we're taking a look at it. We're going to see what we can do to alleviate some of those concerns that have been coming in for this particular purpose. But I wanted to make sure I touched on this just to show people that it's not a bug. It's not your site. It's not anything wrong with what you're doing. I'll touch on this a little bit more later on in the presentation, but it is working as intended. We're just not sure about how we feel about that intent itself. So just be aware that it's something that we're aware of, and we're taking a deeper look into that as we move forward. Couple of update topics here. First off, we did update WordPress itself to version 5.6. Usually these WordPress core updates don't have a significant effect on you as site editors or site admins, but we just want you to know that we are continuously updating to the most recent versions of WordPress, mainly because we want to make sure that you know that we're keeping up with those versions to maintain security and be as up-to-date as possible as we can with our version for those of you who may be working with different versions for other sites that you might work on. Humorously enough, when we were going to update to version 5.6, I think the week before, a 5.6.1 was released. So we're going to be testing that and throwing that onto production as well in the coming weeks. And then I think it was just announced this week that version 5.7 is also currently being tested. So we're not sure when we'll get to 5.7, but it's coming. We're constantly working on that. Below that, so we did update WP data tables, the plugin WP data tables this week, Monday precisely. And for those of you who do use it and who have gone in and taken a look at it since we've updated it, you'll notice that it is very different. At least the editing interface is very different. The tables themselves, they're fine. They work as expected. But the editing environment itself has changed quite a bit. And so in light of that, Jenna and I decided we were just going to kind of do I guess we'll kind of let you peek behind the curtain of what we do when we're deploying plugins. We're just basically going to do it in production. We've already tested it in our dev environments and our various testing environments. But for those of you who are interested in looking at WP data tables or maybe learning a little bit more about WP data tables, Jen and I are just going to do a little troubleshooting session tomorrow from 1 to 2, and basically just go through creating some tables, looking at how they look on the page, and try to answer a few of those questions as we can within that hour. The stream is there. I'll send out a reminder tomorrow for those of you who are interested, but there's the URL for the YouTube stream if you're interested in joining us tomorrow. And again, that's from 1 to 2 tomorrow afternoon, Friday, February 12th afternoon. Next up, we have the UW theme update will be coming March 4th. There are several things that we're working on that aren't yet ready for really discussion. A couple of them are interesting. Hopefully they're good quality of life improvements. But specifically, one of the things that I did want to demo today that is coming with that theme release is the new ability to add buttons via the WiscWeb editor, via the text editor that we use within WordPress. So to demo that, I'm going to go into our dev environment. You can kind of see up here, this is our dev environment because I don't want to break things in production. But wait, we'll go down to my new button hotness page. And what you'll see is in the text editor now, you'll notice that there is this blue linked icon here, blue link icon here. And this is the new button that you can use for adding those sort of visual components to your page. So if I go out, grab myself a handful of lorem ipsum la la la, drop that into the page, and you know what, maybe I need a button here to link off to something. So what I can do is I can put my cursor on the new line, click the icon for the insert UW button, choose a color value. I'll go with blue for now. Text, find out more, and then link to wherever it is I want to link to, and then click insert. And there you'll see, there is what it does. You can edit it. It is a link. The style has happened. I can edit the link by clicking there on the pencil icon. And one of the things that I actually will do is if I get my cursor all the way over here, let me zoom in so you can kind of see. My cursor is right there to see there. I'm going to center it, and that's how you can center it that way. So that's just something of interest that I do. You don't necessarily have to do that. Let's add the red one just so we can see the contrast between the two. And then we can put those in there. So there you'll see blue, red next to each other. Let us click publish. And then let's view the page. And there they are. So you can kind of see the interaction as you mouse over them. I'll zoom in a little bit so you can kind of see, but here's this one, here's that one. Not really much else to say about those. I guess I will say this creates an ease of use for you all to create these buttons, which I think is a great benefit to all of you. Part of the problem with using the buttons previously was that you had to know code. You had to feel comfortable tinkering with the code that you would have to copy and paste into your text area in a text editor to create all this stuff. So you can kind of see there's this A class button, etc. Stuff in here. This is where you would have to tinker around with some of that code. We're sort of taking that off of your plate so that you can just click a button, add your link, and now you add your actual button itself. So again, that'll be coming with our next UW theme update. Jenna put that in the chat. It's coming March 4th. That's our anticipated date that we're going to release the next theme update. And we'll touch on some more things as we get closer to that date that are going to have some other changes involved with them. So let me take a brief moment since I'm at the end of this first slide here and just kind of prompt the studio audience for any questions. Claire asks, could a button possibly work in a menu? At this point, the answer would be no, mainly because we have to watch out for usability and accessibility with that. We know that is a feature that people are interested in. You'll see some sites that will have they'll have some sort of like different type of button up here in the utility links menu, or they'll have like a menu item that is set to look much differently because it's been set up as a button. I guess those are all style decisions. We haven't I guess we just haven't decided on whether or not that's something that we would want to put in. So at the moment, no, but we're aware of the fact that it is something that has been asked for in the past. So as we look toward future theme updates, it is a consideration that we could make. All right, so I will move on in my agenda, but I will answer any questions that do come in over on the side there. Okay, so the next couple of topics are going to be basically just kind of like gentle yet not so gentle friendly reminders of things that you guys should all be aware of as site editors and site administrators, and to a certain extent for those of you who are considered the site owner, because we want you to be aware of some of these things that are we're aware of and are sort of like consistent conversation points for us. The first one is make sure that you are aware to update your email addresses that appear in the footer area of your site. So what will happen is when your site is built, when your site is created, by default, at the very bottom of the footer area, there is an email address that is populated for feedback, questions, or accessibility issues. This is always defaulted to the email address of the requester of a site. So if a person has requested a site and they are no longer involved with the site and you have taken over as the owner of the site per se, you may not have realized that this email address hasn't been updated. So you want to make sure that you are going in and updating this footer email address. This one is also important because this one is like the contact email for just general, like, I guess, information gathering if someone wanted to get in touch with you. This one is important because if it really does mean to be used as the contact point for a person who technically owns the website. So to update this, what you would do is back in your dashboard area, you would go to Appearance and then Customize. And then on the left side, you'd go to the footer section. And then in here, whole lot of information. There's the contact email. The contact email is this one right here, the one that goes into the Contact Us section. But the other one that you need to be aware of is this one down here. So you can see that it's empty for me. The website issues contact field. This one's empty. It defaulted because I was the one who quote unquote requested this site. I built this site and it defaulted to me because I was the one who built this site out. But if I wanted to change that, that is how I would change it. I would just put in the new email address there and then click publish. And so now if we just bounce back out just to confirm, that's how that changes. So again, the reason why this is important is a couple of reasons. One is it is another point of contact for your site, specifically the reasons that it says down there. Feedback, questions, or accessibility issues. Who do I contact? So it's important to make sure that people can get in touch with someone regarding the website proper, not just departmental information or program information. But then the other thing is, and one of the things that we as a team try to do is we try to make sure that we have a way to get in touch with whoever is the site owner if we don't have that information updated in our own our own databases, our own ways of tracking things. So if we need to reach out to a site and we don't really know who the site owner is, this is sometimes an email address that we will go to use as sort of a point of contact for us as well. Again, this is just general notes. Recommended to use a departmental service account. Again, that comes down to instead of having to worry about it being a person who may no longer be there, if you tied it to a service accounts stay with the department, stay with the campus. So ideally, if person leaves, when new person comes in, they are added to that service account so that they can check it. That way it's always going to someone within the department. And then again, we will use that address as well from time to time for contact if we can't be sure who our contact point is for a particular site. Okay, whoops, didn't mean to scroll down there. Next up, some accessibility touch points. These are just a few things that, again, I've been noticing over the past several weeks as I have been working with folks. The first one, this kind of goes back to the conversation we were just having about the UW theme a little bit ago. When you are working with page content and you are building pages and you are adding, removing headlines and things of that nature, one of the things that you should avoid doing is using all caps for your headline values. There are a couple of reasons for this. Mostly they fall down to accessibility and user experience reasons. First, from a user experience standpoint, let me try and frame this as I understand it. I don't know if Adam is in the chat today, but Adam Hilsmeyer might also be a good point of reference if he had some insight into this as well. But essentially, all caps represents importance, or I guess loudness, of a particular piece of content. So visually, it is a bit jarring to see something that is in all caps when you have other things that are in normal sentence case. And so it becomes a user experience issue just from a standpoint of, why does this stand out more than something else? What is its significance? Are you, the thing about all caps always comes down to, why are you yelling at me? So that kind of thing. The other aspect of this, on the other side of this, is for your visually impaired or anyone who may have some cognitive delay issues, using all caps can affect the use of screen readers, the software that some individuals will use to browse your site who may have a disability that makes it difficult or impossible for them to actually visually see the content. And so screen readers do not always read all caps the same. In some cases, all caps will be generalized as acronyms or initialisms. And so instead of it telling me test, it's going to read out TEST, because it's assuming that it is not a word, it is an acronym or an initialism. So you are creating some accessibility issues there as well for your site. So if, and I would say at all possibility, don't use all caps to make something stand out. Bold it. Use the heading tags, things like that to just make it stand out a little bit more, but yet still maintain good user experience, good accessibility from that standpoint. The next one down, this one, and this is one that I have been seeing a lot lately for folks that I have been interacting with for training and kind of support touch bases. A lot of people are missing adding alt text to your images. And for this, I will go into the media library and we will kind of touch on this. So I'm going to grab an image here. So this is my media library. If you click on an image, the image will come up. You have all this information over here. If it's something that you've pulled from the Campus Photo Library, it will already come in with a caption value and a title value. It will not come in with alternative text. Once you upload an image, so I'm just going to grab an image from my downloads. So this is an image that's it's a Blizzard image. It's going to load, I promise. There it is. All right. So I uploaded it. First thing I'm going to do every time I upload a new image, either if I'm doing it in my text editor or if I'm doing it straight to my media library, I'm going to make sure that the title is right, and I'm going to add alternative text. And that's it. It's easy. It's the easiest thing to do when it comes to accessibility. It's the easiest thing to miss when it comes to accessibility. But you have to, and I underscore, bold, very gigantic arrows pointing at have to, you have to address alternative text when it comes to images that you are using within the content of your site. There are few spots where that is not true, but in an overarching thought, it is better to put that alternative text into there than not. And to meet accessibility standards for UW sites and across the board websites, you must have alternative text applied to your images. So please go to your sites and look at your images and add alternative text to them. It might be a tedious job that you'll have to go back and do, but you have to do it. It is something that is a requirement of web accessibility. And I don't know how much more pointedly or strongly to say that, but it is something that we, unfortunately, I don't get to do the in-person trainings anymore, but it is something that I really hammer home whenever I'm talking to folks about building their sites out. You have to get into the habit of it. And it is easy to miss, so it is habit forming. Make sure that you are paying attention to that. Next up, again, from an accessibility standpoint, although this is also a feature request standpoint, we have gotten a few requests about being able to embed content from an Office or a Microsoft product called Sway. Sway is it's sort of like a visual presentation slideshow, but it adds in some, some design elements to it. And we've been asked a few times about implementing it. This is not something that we're going to be integrating, and that is because we did do an accessibility analysis of SWAY, and it scored low on our test. And we did this test with the user experience team, and given that, it's not something that we want people to be using on WiscWeb sites. Again, accessibility is a big deal. We're trying to make sure that we attend to it as best we can. Is that there? So again, just to kind of get out in front of that conversation, because I've gotten a few, and I think as more people, we get closer to end of year celebrations and different ways to present content as sort of like an end of year celebration, SWAY is going to become something that you're going to hear more of. We can't put it in there. It's not accessible. So just be aware of that. There are other ways to do it. With like there are presentation sites out there. I'm going to demo some next month at our Lunch and Learn. But there's also, creating a video slideshow. I've done that for my wife's her graduation presentation that she had to give. So it is something that you can look at, and I'm more than happy if you're looking for ways to deliver that kind of content. I'm more than happy to chat with folks and try and come up with some other ways, some alternative ways to deliver that type of content. So don't hesitate to reach out to me. Next, the Open Labs. We have announced the next Open Lab. Our next Open Lab is going to be February 24th. It's going to be Wednesday, February 24th. It's going to be 9 to 11 a.m. Again, we're going to do this through Blackboard. The reason why we've been using Blackboard over other software is for its relative ease to get to, and its, I guess, to a certain extent, ease of use. I know all technology isn't easy for everyone, but for the most part, it's been a pretty positive experience for us. We're using Blackboard because it has that ability for us to share some content. It has the ability for us to go into the breakout rooms and kind of bounce around between those breakout rooms. I know other software does, and I know everyone has a preferred way of doing things. We're just using Blackboard because it does work for us. So that's what we're going to use into the future until something else comes along that is either easily accessed or easier used. So the sign up is right there. go.wisc.edu/LKP3CF. That's an L. And you can go there to sign up. We have 20-minute blocks for you to meet with members of the team. It'll be WiscWeb service members, and then also members of the user experience team within Do It as well. So accessibility, content strategy, user experience, any of those questions that you might have, we really do encourage you to sign up for an open lab to pop in and have a chat with us there. Hold on. I have you muted, so there's Jenna. Hi, go ahead.
Just confirming the date on that.
Uh-oh.
I think it's scheduled for the 17th.
Uh-oh. That's why I have backup. What do I have in the sheet? Please hold while I get egg off my face. Oh, it is the 17th. Thank you, Jenna. Hey, it's the 17th, not the 24th. Sorry about that, guys. So here's the Open Lab sign-up sheet. You can see that Jenna and I are in it right now. But yeah, if you go here, you'll see that there is the Blackboard link right there. You go in there, you sign up. I'll send out, when I send out the update tomorrow about the WP data tables thing, I'll also include information about the Open Lab sign up as well, just in case people need some more information about that. I apologize about that. I don't know why that 24 snuck into my my agenda, but so go sign up for that. Next up, one of the questions that I did field earlier, maybe not earlier this month. I know I fielded a question about it, but one individual was trying to use the events calendar for creating links off to where the virtual meeting was going to take place. So they were trying to put that into like the website field that will appear in an event that you create. And because it was a WebEx meeting, the WebEx meeting URLs are very long because they have so much information that has to get passed through when you click on that link. I decided I'd just kind of touch base with folks to remind or introduce you to the Uw Madison URL shortener. So we do have a URL shortener here on campus. You can access it by going to go.wisc.edu. You do have to log in via your NetID because it's only meant to be used by campus entities and users. And then once you're in here, you'll have, if you have created previous URLs, they'll be in that list right there. But to create a brand new one, you just go to the very bottom, you type in the URL that you want the link to go to, and then you just type in any additional comments that you want. This might just be for your own personal, like what is this link for? Virtual meeting location, and then you just click add it, and it will get added right there, and that is now your shortened URL that you can send out to people for whatever reason you need to send it out to them for. I don't really know what else to say about that other than I use it quite a bit, and it is very very easy to use and very useful for me to take advantage of. Okay, close some tabs here. All right, last slide. Just a few things for some reminders, and then if you have any questions, go ahead and throw them into the chat there, and we can try and field them as we can. For your own reminder, for those of you who maybe aren't aware of it or don't remember that we made it available, we do have an icon pack that is available to use within our WiscWeb service. If you go to our resources section at our site and go to campus resources, the Do It Communications icon pack is right there, and it is just a slew of various types of icons that you can use to add a little more graphical element to your site. So, for example, we use the icons on our main page to create a little bit of sort of visual navigation. So this is something that is, again, we found useful, and we wanted to make sure that anybody else could make use of it. I don't know what to say there. So there's the direct go.wisc URL right there. Otherwise, it is at our website for resources and then campus resources. So, okay, real quick. So, question: any risk of deleting the shortened URL after the event is done? I guess the only risk would be if you have marketed it or somehow communicated it out to a broader audience. People may still have that URL out there, and depending upon what you decide to do with that content once the event is done, that I guess would be the only risk. Because if somebody wanted to see if there was any was there a recording of the event? Was there any follow-up notes to the event? Was there any future considerations of the event? Things like that. You might leave that same URL and just update that page that it points to, or update wherever it is that it points to. Now, if it's to a specific like WebEx type thing or a specific like virtual meeting link, I don't think there's any risk to that. I think the risk is greater if it's like a form that you had people fill out or a page that had the event like agenda or things of that nature. That's where the greater risk would be. But if it's just to like the shortened URL for like a WebEx meeting, I don't think you have much risk there. I think you're getting rid of it because it no longer exists. There was a message at the bottom of the agenda that I sent out this morning, touching on the campus accessibility technology group. I want to get their name right, so I'm going to go back and look at the email because I don't want to short them. It is the Accessible Technology Advisory Group. I'll bring up their site here. It's the ATAG group. They help define a little bit about general digital accessibility awareness on campus, and sort of try to provide guidance for that. They are interested in and they are working with others to create a community of practice on campus. And essentially, for those of you who are also interested in this, they really do want to get some feedback from you to, help form and help shape that community of practice. So they have a survey that is available for you to go and fill out. The URL is there. It was also in the message that I sent out earlier this morning. So please go in and take part in that if you want to help that group sort of assist and shape accessibility policy and accessibility guidance, I should say, here on campus. And then the last little piece to touch on is we finished up the user experience survey on Monday. It closed Monday afternoon. We got a good amount of responses back on it. So I wanted to say thank you for taking part in that. This was something that I had wanted to get done for quite some time now, and thankfully I had one of my client engagement cohorts, Ketter, who rejoined us after she had gone away. She rejoined the team, and she sort of helped kick me into gear to get this thing done. And we're very happy with what the survey was. We're happy with the results. We're now going to sort of take a look at what those results are, do some analysis, do some follow-up. We really do want to talk to those of you who did agree to participate in some follow-ups after the fact, because we want feedback. We do. And good, bad, indifferent, the feedback helps us. It helps us get better. It helps us define what the service is going to look like in the coming months and in the coming years. And it helps you influence what this service is going to look like for you. So again, thank you for that. We'll be following up with folks once we've had a chance to sort of consume some of the survey results. And then another thing that we want to do, and not to create survey fatigue, we don't want to do this on like a monthly or weekly basis, but we do still want to do throughout the year some smaller surveys to sort of check in and find out what's working, what isn't working, what needs to change. So we will be doing more of those smaller surveys throughout the year. But that's coming based on whatever our analysis of this user experience survey is going to be. So I don't know, Ketter, you're on the line. Do you want to add in anything about that?
I think you covered it. Mostly just thanks to everyone who participated. It was great to hear from everyone.
All right.
Thanks, man.
Yeah. Okay, so that is it for our agenda. Like I said, we do have some time at the end here. I'll kind of leave it open for open for questions to get thrown in if anybody wants to ask anything there. I don't know, Jenna, is there anything that you want to touch on that we either talked about or didn't talk about during this?
Yeah, I have one thing that I thought of. It's sort of related to the feedback survey. We saw a couple folks answer that they were hoping for more documentation related to processes, or had trouble finding documentation for things. And so I wanted to remind folks that we do have a very robust knowledge base hub. Matt, I don't know if you want to like bring that up quick. We add content to that pretty much weekly as things come in. We do our best to keep that updated. We do our best to add new docs for you. We are a small team, so we're a little bit limited in terms of how much we can do there, but constantly adding new content. And please do, provide feedback if you're looking for documentation and you're not finding it. That is certainly something that we would love to hear about via our support mailing list. You can also provide feedback right on a KB doc. So Matt, if you just click on any KB doc on that page. And then at the very bottom, there's places that you can you can choose helpful, unhelpful, which is more so used, I think, for other users. But the comment option there is a really great way to give feedback on a doc. So if the doc exists, but you were looking for content that wasn't there, that's something that you can comment on. Or if you feel like something's inaccurate or you'd like something to be added, or maybe it's just even that there's a broken link. It's super helpful for us to get that feedback because we want to make sure that these documents are helping and easy to follow. And so we're very open to that kind of feedback as well.
Sorry, I was writing down a note. Bounce back over to here real quick. So Colleen, I do see your question. I wrote that down. I'm not sure if there is or there is not. So I will follow up and find out that information for you. I don't know if any of the ATAG folks are listening in. I don't know if Al would be watching this right now, but this is a group that some of the names wouldn't be too shocking for those of you who have worked with like the UX folks or any of us with WiscWeb before. But I'll reach out to them and see if there is a list out there that people can be aware of. Ooh, I'm trying to think of other things that have come up over the past few weeks, past month since last we chatted. Seeing this, Jenna and I are currently in the process of deploying and testing Gravity Forms and Events Calendar to our other environments. So we're going to test those plugin updates out, and then we'll hopefully get those deployed within the next couple of weeks to next week to production. I think our goal is to have them deployed by next Tuesday. I think Tuesday or Wednesday.
Yep,
so
Tuesday.
yeah. So we'll be updating those two plugins next week. I don't think there's anything significant in those updates, so there's nothing really big to touch on there. Nothing as significant as what happened with data tables specifically. Let's see, creating buttons, talked about. All right. If there are no other questions, we can end it there. Oh, I did want to point out, I put it in the email, but we do have, if you go to our service site under support and lunch and learns, we do have this form. So if there is something ahead of time that you'd like us to touch on or explain or give a little bit more depth to, you can fill out this form, and it'll appear over here. The only reason I'm wanting it to appear here is just so we can have a running list. So if a person comes and goes, you know what, I'd really like to find out about X, they could see if that question has been asked in the past or not. So again, just go ahead and fill that out. Let us know what things you'd like to touch on for Lunch and Learns. Otherwise, I'll hang on the line here for a few more minutes, but we can call it a meeting there. And thank you to everybody who attended. Thank you to all of you who are always interacting with us and giving us feedback. Stay safe, stay warm, and we'll talk to you guys all next month. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you, everyone.